Okay, so Romans chapter 5, peace with God through faith. Okay, so faith is something that's actually quite difficult to define, but it's something that comes with not know, or if I can explain it so that we can try to understand it, it's not knowing the future and believing that somebody is walking with us, somebody has pre-planned our lives, and that they know what's going to happen next. So it's almost like you're living like you're blindfolded, but then some people have gifts and some people don't. But with each step that we take, we're walking life blindfolded. That's what being a Christian, walking in faith, looks like. It's like you're walking blindfolded. And so this is specifically about the peace with God, but it's focusing on the faith part and how we get the faith part and how we get our relationship with God, or how we become, can I say, one with God regarding salvation and the Holy Spirit. So we have been justified, meaning we were sinners and we made mistakes and we did bad things and we were bad people because of the fall, because of Genesis chapter 3. But Jesus dying on the cross made us pure. That's what justified. Jesus dying on the cross and rising again made us pure, made us right in his eyes. Okay? So we have peace with God through Jesus. We were sinners, we are sinners, but we have peace with God. So we are right with God because of Jesus. Through him, we have also obtained access into the grace. So grace is something where somebody will hurt you and you'll just let it go. And somebody will hurt you and you'll just let it go. And with grace, that we receive grace once we believe that Jesus is the Son of God and that he died and rose again. So we are justified. So it's justified and then we receive grace. And then we stand. So what Romans chapter 5 is saying is stand and rejoice for this, because it is good news. Stand and rejoice in knowing that, I see that the natural light has faded. So I'm just going to switch my light on. Rejoice and be happy that you have salvation because Jesus died on the cross. Because in the hope for our future, but also the hope for the kingdom. And this happens because of the glory of God. Not only that, but we rejoice in suffering. So what they're saying is, don't just rejoice because of the good news. And don't just rejoice when things are going wonderful. Rejoice when we go through difficult times too. Because through suffering is where he builds your character, a godly character. Not any other kind of character, but a godly character to become more like Jesus. And so suffering produces endurance, which leads to character, which leads to hope for the future. And hope doesn't disappoint us. So suffering produces endurance, as in perseverance. So you push on and you push on and push on through the suffering. Because it builds character. And that character leads to hope for our future life with Jesus. Because God's love was poured into us, our hearts, through the Holy Spirit, who has been given to us. So when we have the change in our spirit, and the Holy Spirit comes and lives within us, then God's love is poured into us. And then we have all that we actually need to get through every single day. We have all that we actually need to get through our day-to-day. For while we were still weak, meaning sinner, at the right time Christ died for the ungodly. So it's interesting because it's about the right time. So he lived as a child and he lived as a teenager, and it was only really when he was 30 to 33 that he did his ministry, and the right timing and the right day came, and a lot of things in between that happened, but when he was 33 he died on the cross, and that was the right time. A person will rarely die for a righteous person, maybe for a good person, but rarely for a righteous person. And so the thing with this is, my question is, would you die for somebody? Would you die for your mom? Would you die for your dad? Would you die for your children? Would you die for your friends? Would you die for a stranger? Or would you have this moment where you would pick yourself if caught in a situation where a car is coming and you have to make a choice? It's you or the other person. Would you die for them? And so what they're saying is Jesus came and he died for everybody, good people and bad people. So the Bible is saying, maybe if you're a good person, we would say, this person is a good person, I would die for them. This person is somebody I love, I would die for them. What Jesus is saying is that even the evil people, even the people that we would consider rapists and murderers, he died for all of them. Since we have now been justified, so now we are made right in God's eyes, and we're pure by the blood. So Jesus had to shed blood. Much more shall we be saved by him from the wrath of God. So basically the blood will stop the wrath of God from hurting us. For while we were enemies of God, so when we are not saved and we do not follow the Lord, as in we do not believe in Jesus and we do not believe in God and we do not have the Holy Spirit within us, then we are enemies. While we were enemies, we were reconciled to God through the death of his Son. And so we will be reconciled through the death of Jesus, and we will come to life. Because Jesus dies and rises again, so we come to life. So what I want to explain by this is that reconciliation is this reconnecting with God. So in Genesis chapter 3, there was the fall, and Adam and Eve both chose to do what they wanted to do. And therefore the rest of us, we fell too, technically, because we are children and of the line of Adam and Eve. But when Jesus came and he died and he rose again, those who believed in that concept and had a spirit shift and a spirit change, those people are justified and pure and reconciled with God, with not Jesus but God. And so the thing is understanding what sin means, understanding that you are a sinner, understanding who Jesus is, understanding that Jesus is God but also Jesus is God's Son, and understanding what reconciliation is. Reconciliation is when you have a fight with a friend, and it's a big one, and you have to sit down. So it's not these little grievances where you can let go of the person not washing their dishes, or the person keeping not keeping their room clean, but an actual huge fight, and you come to a point with this person where you're ignoring each other and you're not talking to each other. Then you decide it's time now, let's sit down, let's talk it out. Let's find boundaries, let's understand each other, and let's be friends again. That is reconciliation, and that is what Jesus did for us, between us and God.